Okay. Hello everyone. It's an honor for our group to present a talk to you today. And the company that our group would like to present is Walmart. First of all, I will start by telling you about the growth of Walmart. And in this session, I have selected a few important points. Walmart also.
Sorry, I'm picking up almost none of the sound. Are other people getting the same problem?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, no, yeah. Okay, carry on.
Walmart stores was founded in 1962 by Sam Walton, an American retailing legend. Before that, Sam Walton had opened the first outlet shop in 1995. The small-town businessman who had previously owned a grocery shop believed that if the small shop had a good selection of products, excellent service, and a cheap price, customers would flock to it. And in the 1970s, its policies for the future was to enter small towns first, and then capture them, gradually move nationwide. According to some data, Walmart listed its stock in New York in 1974, and by 1979, Walmart's total sales exceeded $1 billion for the first time. Over the decades, Walmart shop had grown to become the world's top department stores. Unlike other companies that have grown economically without increasing employment opportunities, Walmart's economic growth has brought more jobs to people. And Walmart entered China in 1996 with the opening the first Walmart shopping mall and Sam's Club shop in Shenzhen, creating more than 50,000 jobs nationwide. And in the next section, I would like to talk about a few ideas that I saw when I was learning about this company that I find interesting. The first, I want to talk the public servant leadership. There is very little atmosphere of hierarchy within Walmart, and the founder, Sam Walton, was very pleased to spend time with his employers, talking about issue or giving presentation. And today, Walmart managers at all level continue to live this corporate tradition. Walmart's servant leader always put communication with their employers at the first of their minds. Next is the create a relaxed atmosphere. Walmart has always attached importance to the development of relaxed atmosphere within the company. Walmart employers can appreciate a unique company atmosphere, which is a team spirit, a small-town American hard work, sincere treatment of the people's simple spirit. and they work hard on the one hand, and at the same time, they entertain themselves outside of the work. Well, let my partner move on to the next section.
Okay, when it comes to my part, first of all, I would like to introduce the logo of Walmart and the message it shows. I have searched the sex picture from the internet. As you can see, the following picture shows the sex stages of Walmart logo image change. The logo now looks like this, with the supermarket name on the left and the sex sparks on the right, and each spark in turn symbolizes the concept and the idea of company's success, which is understood as a warm and bright image, and it provides a good day for shopping. Such a logo is very appropriate, I think, so it can be easily remembered by customers. And you can see this spark not only represents inspiration and wisdom, but also represents Walmart as a smart choice for customers to save money. So the following I will talk about is the brand culture about the Walmart. Founder Sam Walton infused Walmart with unique cultural beliefs. The four core values of serving customer, respecting individual, pursuing excellence, and acting with integrity are the foundation of Walmart. So Walmart focuses on every operating story, serving every customer well, and they fulfilling the company's core mission in order to continuously create extraordinary for customer members and their employees. And the next I want to share about is Walmart's products and their service. I selected some picture from the Walmart shopping markets in China. As you can see, the advertisement in their market it always shows high cost performance, cheap price, high feedback and efficiency, customer first. All the major supermarket chains adopt the strategy of low price, and the Walmart shopping market is different from the other supermarkets. This is because they always save money from the sourcing channels, distribution methods, and so on. And we can buy some goods with lower price than any other stores. And in order to establish a brand image in the eyes of customer, it's not enough for retail enterprise to rely on high quality and cheap goods. Customers like us also want to get our warm services to while shopping. It's with this mind that Walmart attracts a large number of customers with its super first-class services. As you can see the advertisement, the company thinks the customer is always right. And if the customer makes a mistake, please refer to Article 1. So you can see customers who find any item they buy here unsatisfied can return them to the store for payment. So this is all the content I want to share.
Okay, thank you. At the beginning of this slide, I will analyze the characteristics of Walmart's products and services. As we all know, for the retail industry, products and services are the most important parts. Walmart's success depends on its high standards for products and high requirements for services. The next slide is about the service characteristics of Walmart. When it comes to efficient service, WFS, which means Walmart Fulfillment Service, is the most impressive service. With the support of this service system, customers can always get their products in the shortest time. This is one of the reasons why many people choose Walmart over other retail companies. The next slide. The following are the characteristics of WFS. With WFS, sellers can provide 2 days of delivery service throughout the United States. 2-day delivery also allows products to obtain higher search rankings and easy access to buy boxes, which means that more shoppers will see the seller's listing. Then WFS provides sellers with a reporting dashboard that tracks orders, inventory levels, and shipments in real time. Through WFS, Walmart manages all customer inquiries, refunds, and returns. The participating products will display the levels of 2-day delivery, free and easy returns, and fulfilled by Walmart to increase the visibility of the products and improve the conversion rate. Then WFS has a simple pricing structure, which is based on 2 main costs: monthly storage costs and transportation costs based on weight or size. Then next slide is about the characteristics of the product. I summarize it into 3 main aspects. Low prices conform to customers' wishes. The accurate positioning ensures the needs of customers. Strong resource supply and efficient supply chain make customers' choices more diversified and bring customers a higher level of consumption experience. Okay, that's all. That's my partner to enter the next part. Thank you.
Okay, next is my part. My name is Wen Jinyi, and I'm going to talk about how Walmart reduces costs. We can see on the slide, Walmart saves money in 3 ways. The first, second, third. Move on. The first, less investment in advertising. Walmart is different from traditional supermarkets in that it only advertises 12 times a year, compared to 100 times for other supermarkets. It is and that to save a significant amount of money in advertising each year. Although Walmart has invested less in promotion, they have done a lot of work for the public survey, which has greatly increased the awareness of their name and created a good image in the minds of their customers, which has also had a better effect than advertising. Next. Secondly, logistics. Walmart is the world's largest commercial retailer and is trying to reduce costs as much as possible. Use larger trucks for many goods. This helps to save costs. Driver and vehicles are Walmart's own. Greatly reduced transportation costs. Finally, green and low carbon economy. Simplify the package of various products to reduce waste while saving energy and water. Paperless office with sales, stocks, and promotion operating directly on the computer, so reducing the use of traditional paper. These are the ways Walmart is reducing costs. Next, my partner will continue.
Well, next is my turn. Where we talk about the strategy development and Walmart's core competitiveness line is good business philosophy and corporate culture, which are mainly reflected in the following 5 aspects. First one is small profit but quickly turnover. Walmart purchased goods directly from the factory, bypass middlemen and excludes manufacture from transactions. And the second one is customer satisfaction. My teammate has said many Walmart stores have such slogan hanging. The first one, customers are always right. And the third one, I want to talk about the continuously involved and pursued excellence. On the technical level, Walmart made a very active investment in the retail information system. It was the first one to use computer to check inventory, bytecode and EDI first to use wireless scanning gun. On the management level, Walmart has implemented localization operations overseas and constantly explore new retail models to add up to the changing need of consumers. And the next one is respect individuals. Walmart employees are not called employees, but collaborators or colleagues, although the division of the labor among employees at all levels is clear. There is little discrimination. And the next one is focused on the long-term interest. Walmart wins all over its competitors by building loyalty, respect its suppliers, and forms a multi-beneficial long-term partnership. And the next one, I want to talk about a new service by Walmart. And on the August 25th this year, Bloomberg reported that Walmart would start delivering goods to other companies, and this means that its loyalty strength would enable the world's largest retail to expand its business scope. It is understood that the new logistics service called Walmart Go Local will provide delivery service to merchants from local bakeries to national automobile supply store at a competitive price. Walmart said its press release on August 25th that the retailer had signed contract with some customers. Walmart said that this service would be put into operation by end of this year, and the discrimination method will include new technological such as automated vehicle and unmanned arrival vehicles. Go Local will be a white label service, which means that delivery will not be carried out by Walmart brand vehicles. The company said this would provide the option of delivering goods within 2 hours at a competitive price, as well as delivery within 2 days. The delivery will be joint-handled by the associated company, Outworks, and other delivery company. That's all. Thank you for listening.
Okay. Thank you very much. I tell you what, can you put the slides up again? Because I'll pick out a couple that I just want to talk about. But and whoever wants to do this, just put them up there. And I think it's probably quicker if I tell you which slide I want to look at, because I know, although I can ask to take control, when I've done that before, it's very, very slow. So anyway, so if you go back to the first slide, but let me start by saying about this in general, I am very, very impressed with this. So your English was pretty good. I mean, it's obviously not perfect English, but I have to say that you're doing this from China. You know, this is all, I presume, based on the using the English that you've learned in the classroom. So, you know, not coming to this country, you're at a significant disadvantage in terms of learning the language. And I think you've done incredibly well. I know for you, English is as hard to learn as Chinese is for me, which is, you know, basically impossible. So I'm very impressed with that. I'm very impressed with the teamwork that appears to have gone on here, because I don't think you can necessarily meet up, can you? I think you've had to do all this remotely. Is that right? Somebody, anybody? Did you do all this remotely from each other? Okay. Well, you're doing it remotely from me now. Okay. So I'm really impressed by that, and I think the design of the slides, you know, you've got lovely clear slides, nice pictures, so all of that really good. Very impressed, and I'm not saying this because I'm just about to hit you with bad news now. It's not that at all. I'm you know, the whole thing was really good. So the slides have disappeared, but whilst we wait for the slides to come back again, because I assume they are, that first one about the history of the company, probably worth one paragraph in your report. So it's not terribly relevant, but it's a little bit. So it's a nice way to start, but I don't think you'll earn many marks from the history particularly. Then we're on to the slide interesting points. So some very sort of vague points here, but it's beginning to introduce the idea that Walmart is all about service. Oh, by the way, something you need to clarify is whether you're talking about Walmart in China or Walmart in America or the global corporation. Now, the reason why I say that is because it might be a little bit different in China. And that particularly becomes relevant with slide 5 with the logo. And what I immediately pick up on the logo, particularly the logo from 1964 to 81 and 1968 to 81, so that sort of 18-year period, the logo is clearly communicating traditional American values. Now, I don't know if you're aware of that, but the reason why I know that is because the font is that kind of Western cowboy kind of font that you see in Western movies. I think it's genuine, but it's immediately trying to communicate that, and all Americans will pick up on that straight away. It's absolutely obvious. So having established that from 1981 onwards, they move away from that to what I think is a rather faceless, rather plain looking logo. But I guess they've established, you know, the soul of the company. So the soul of the company is very much that they're American. It's very obvious. But, you know, maybe the reason why they moved away from the 1960s logo is because it's too racially divisive, perhaps. You know, I'm just making this up as I go along, but it's, you know, the Westerns, the cowboys is all about white people, and Walmart has to be for everyone. So maybe that's why they moved away from that. But that's just a total guess. Right, the next slide, you've got wisdom, inspiration, warm, bright. You can allow yourself to be a little bit more cynical here. So, you know, in what sense is Walmart about wisdom and inspiration? Walmart's brand image in the States is very much about price. So it's about selling stuff at the lowest possible price. Yeah. And they have, you know, despite them, you're talking about how they care for the workers, but they also have a little bit of a reputation from time to time of being quite ruthless with their workers and getting as much work out of their workers as they possibly can. Now, I have to say, that's just a sort of hint that I've picked up. So you might want to look into that a little bit more. But this kind of mission is not a mission statement. Well, I suppose it is a mission statement. Wisdom, inspiration, warm, bright. It's the kind of thing companies like to say about themselves. So you can afford to be a little more skeptical, even cynical about this. Brand culture, so on to serve customers, respect individuals, pursue excellence, act with integrity. Okay, and I think that goes back to what I was saying about the logo and about them being very American, is that it is about establishing that connection with the customers. And I think you're right with brand culture in bringing out the importance of service to the customer. So when we then get into products and services, you mentioned the customer first, feedback, efficiency. Now, efficiency really belongs with cost, of course. Yeah. So efficiency is I say, yeah. Yeah. I mean, efficiency in customer service is important in terms of giving quick customer service, but I'm thinking efficiency in terms of cost. You just need to clarify that. But that's fine. I see you've gone for Chinese photographs there. So again, you need to clarify. Are you talking about Walmart in China, Walmart in general, Walmart America? Right, so number nine is just a bit of silly nonsense, but again, you know, it's emphasizing that Walmart are trying to say this is all about the customer. Now, when I go into Walmart stores in America, I actually find them incredibly plain. It's really not a particularly enjoyable shopping experience. It's a bit like walking into a warehouse. And I always think the logo is rather plain as well, not very inspiring. So, but anyway, this thing about customer service, you're really pursuing that, and that's good. So that shows that you've identified Walmart as being about service and about the community, and that you keep on returning to that theme, which is exactly what I wanted. It's you demonstrating that you believe that is the foundation stone for the company. And if you understand the foundation stone of the company, then you understand everything they do. You understand what direction they're going in the future. Somebody's just switched the microphone on, so do check. I can hear a lot of chat going on in the background. Laughter. Someone's having a party back there. Thank you. If you're going to have a party, invite us. Right. Okay, so slide 10. Slide 11. Let's just have a quick look at this. Yeah, okay. No, I haven't got anything to say about this, really. Yeah, but that shows... Are we into cost minimization here? How efficient they are? Is that what it is? But their reputation for efficiency is absolutely unparalleled. So very, very efficient company. Let's go on to 12. Whoever's operating this, thank you very much. A bit of Chinese has crept in there. Real time. Yeah, okay. Can you explain intuitive pricing when you write the reflection report? I kind of know what you mean, but again, and then relate it back to this connection with the customer. Right. Next one, products. Low price, just clear positioning. Yeah. Okay. Again, you know, trying to make life easy for the customer. Yeah, okay. But where you say in number 3 here, strong global procurement resources, that's really about cost reduction, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so let's get into cost reduction. Try 15 actually. Yeah, nice. Less investment in advertising. You need to explain why this is, and they can do it because they're focusing on the customer. So customers then tell other customers how great Walmart is, and they keep talking about Walmart. So you don't need to advertise. Same thing with Starbucks. They have such a strong brand and such a loyal following that they don't need to advertise because that loyal following will tell other people, oh, let's go to Starbucks, let's meet at Starbucks, let's go out to Starbucks. It's like that all the time. Okay, logistics, yeah, fine, you've got logistics, very, very efficient on logistics. So excellent cost minimization. Right, green and low carbon economy, all companies claim this. Why should Walmart do it? Because it's good for the customer. So again, relate it back to the customer. I see over on the right, you've got a pack of 3 there. Now, presumably you're making the claim that this is good for the environment. It's also good for the customer because presumably they're getting something cheap. And American retail is often based around the idea of buying things in bulk. So they turn up with their huge cars, their huge trucks, they fill the back of the truck, and then they take it all home and they store it somewhere. And they've got huge refrigerators and huge freezers that they store it all in. So American retail is very much based around this idea of bulk buying, which you may not have in China. Maybe a different situation in China. Yeah, and that's probably why we don't have Walmart in this country. Okay, strategic development, so slide 20. Yeah, okay, you've got this, you understand it. I mean, stuff like continuously innovate and pursue excellence, all companies say that. You can allow yourself to be a little bit cynical here. Focus on long-term interests. I'm not sure I'd see any of that in Walmart. Walmart doesn't seem to change from one year to the next because what it's doing all the time is trying to reduce prices. Absolutely ruthless in pursuing the lowest costs. And then you've got go local. Now, I think this is an interesting idea, go local, because it links back to what you've said about Walmart and its roots in America and its community spirit. Because although the shopping experience for me, and this is personal opinion, when I go to Walmart, is that Walmart has no atmosphere, it has no character, that even the logo to me has no character now. So it's all a bit faceless. At the same time, there is a feeling that Walmart is very American and is therefore rooted in the community. You've noticed that. So when they do something new, it has to strengthen that even more. And these deliveries and the idea of go local, I think is very good. Just remember that although Walmart might be saying go local, actually Walmart is very much a national corporation, is a multinational corporation. So go local really means go to your local corner shop, a family-owned store, and do your shopping there. But Walmart is trying to say go local means come to us, yeah, which is a bit of a contradiction. Anyway, thank you for that. I'm very impressed with that. I'm impressed with the teamwork. It is. I've seen quite a few presentations now, and it's definitely up there with the best presentations. So well done. Okay, is it just the one presentation today? Do we have another one? Yeah, just that one. Well, that's fine. I think we know who's going next week, but I didn't write this down. Does somebody want to tell me if they're going next week? No. Who does want to go next week? Next week is due on the 9th of December, isn't it, I think? So we've basically got 2 more weeks. You don't have to do a presentation, but as we've seen with this group, it has done them a lot of good, and it's done you, the rest of you, a lot of good to be able to see it. So it'd be nice to have a sense of teamwork here, and the next group to come forward and say, yes, you know, we volunteered to do this to help everybody else as much as to help ourselves. Okay, I'm not going to sit here waiting for a volunteer. Kelly, if you're willing to volunteer, or you already know that you're going next week, can you send me an email or put it in the chat so everyone else can see it? If you put it in the chat, then everyone can see it, and just let me know. I'm not going to interact with you or anything like that. It's just that when we do next week and I say, okay, you ready? Then whoever it is ready to go. Right. Well, I am going on about it, so I'm going to stop now. Okay, let's get on with the lecture then, unless anyone has any questions. No. Okay, but if you do have questions, you know, you only have to shout out.
Teacher, can I do the presentation? I don't sure whether other people in our group have a prepared.
Okay, so this is solo, is it? Just one person? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That's fine. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. If you can organize a group, or anyone wants to volunteer to go with you, then please do. Yeah, but otherwise, yes, I'll be waiting for your solo effort next week. Good. Thank you for that. Right, let me get on with the lecture then. So
but no, can I do the solo now? So
now, oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, you want to? Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, wait. On this.
Was that it? Yeah, there we are. Very good.
I'm going to talk about Alibaba's company. Its nature of the business is the e-commerce. The personality of the leader is relevant to the nature of Alibaba. By that, it is relevant in the sense of the people seeking their services. This can be seen from the perspective of customers and the suppliers. The nature is especially relevant to the organizational culture. The personality of customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders, such as employees, may influence their behavior. This is the role of leadership by individual leaders on Alibaba's social networks to improve the nature and the quality of Alibaba's activities. The unique competitive advantage of Alibaba is the use of the internet and e-commerce to fight against the giants in the industry. This is because Alibaba has not come up with something new, but has used the same old ideas to compete with the established giants. For example, Amazon, which is known for its service may not have a lot of advantages, but because such services are offered by Alibaba and other similar companies. Another competitive advantage that Alibaba has and which is not being exploited is its strong network. Alibaba has a strong network of suppliers, customers, and other partners. These combines can be used to work with their partners and create products for the customers which are new, innovative, and improve their quality of life. This can be explained by the fact that Alibaba may have to produce some goods which are not very successful in the market. To overcome this problem, Alibaba may use its network of partners to get some more money for these goods. The rival business should respond competitively by copying Alibaba's ideas of e-commerce. They should also try to get a large and effective network as Alibaba does. The value offer. The thing that customers value most is the ability to get the goods and services of Alibaba delivered quickly. Since Alibaba's products are produced in China, customers have to wait for a long time before the goods arrive. Therefore, the quicker the delivery, the better it is for the customer. The business maximizes the value to the customer by producing goods in China and selling them to customers globally. This is because Alibaba has to sell its products to different countries, and the only way it can do that is producing its goods in China, where the labor cost is low. Hence, the cost of production are low too. This means they can sell them at a lower price. Value to the customer can be increased by introducing to the goods earlier so that the customers get to pay less for their goods. Alibaba Group minimizes its costs by producing goods in China. This is because Alibaba Group has a large network of suppliers in China who are able to produce the goods cheaper when compared to other countries. Further efficiencies that could be made include more advertisement and promotion more the idea of e-commerce. This is because customers are not fully aware of what e-commerce entails. Strategic development. The further services can further exploit the competitive advantage of Alibaba as the ability for customers to order the goods and have them delivered directly to their homes. This means that customers do not have to go out of their homes to get their goods. Contrast with academic theory. The formal academic theory would have analyzed the competitive advantage of Alibaba by breaking the business down into three separate parts. These are the organization, the product, and the environment. It has provided critical insights by making the connection between the business and its needs. For example, Alibaba's needs our customers and suppliers. These needs have created a network that has made it possible for Alibaba to offer their services to their customers. The theory can be made relevant to the case of Alibaba and other MNCs by focusing on external factors. This is because Alibaba has a global presence, and therefore it is important to take into account the opinions of their customers and partners rather than just their suppliers. That's all. Thank you for listening.
Excellent, thank you. Can you just go back to slide 1? And whilst we're waiting for you to reload the slides, so again, you know, good English. A lot of hard work went into this, and you've clearly shown that you have understood this this assignment, which is not an easy assignment to understand. And I often find I need to be in the classroom with students to sort of explain the subtleties of how you're expected to express your own opinion in part one, but putting it together into a coherent, linked, connected argument, not one just made up of random points. And you both groups, you've understood this, which is not easy. And then to go on to part two, where you then reflect on a theory. Now that the last group didn't do that, which is fine. You know, this you can't do everything. Whereas this presentation we've just seen has followed the requirement of the assignment a bit more closely. Now, if you can put the slides up, it would help, but you don't have to. I think you've picked on a couple of points which I find very interesting. One is possibly a unique position in China where it's difficult, particularly in rural China, I suppose, to be able to get hold of goods or to have a wide choice. So if you connect with Alibaba, then you've got a massive choice. So it's really helping overcome retail problems in rural China. That's my guess. You know better than I do, of course. And then you mentioned the network. And I think the network is really important. That's what Alibaba is really all about, is that network. You haven't taken this back to the foundation of the group. And what I find interesting about Jack Ma and the way he started Alibaba is that he started it with other people. And there's a sense of collaboration. So it's almost like it started as a network between people, and that because they understand the power of networking, Alibaba is based on that sense of networking. Unlike, say, Amazon, which is based on the idea of a corporation. And they're very much a big, powerful corporation. And they have big warehouses, and all they've done is replace the shops with a website. But otherwise, you know, they're actually doing the same thing that shops do. But I suppose Amazon has also created a market. And I think Alibaba feels more like the platform that uses the market, that enables the market to come about. So the market uses Alibaba, whereas Amazon is the market, or it's trying to be the market. Yeah. Just now, the final bit, you talked about formal theory and how the formal theory would have looked at the company from the point of view of product. 3 areas. I can't remember what they are because I can't see the slides, but it's product and 2 other things, right? What theory is this? And how would that give you the wrong analysis of Alibaba? You know, what I'm saying is, if you are saying that Alibaba is really a network, and that's the important characteristic, and we need to look at it as a network, then you should be saying that a theory would not recognize that. A theory would try to analyze Alibaba as a standard corporation. Yeah, and we'll go on to a theory in a few minutes that'll help you do this. And therefore, a formal theory is leading you to miss the most important aspect of Alibaba and what makes the company different, what means it's going into the future in a way that its competitors cannot imagine. Yeah. Okay, right. I can't imagine we've got any more presentations, but if we have, do shout out. Otherwise, let me know if you want to go next week, and I will now launch myself into my own presentation, which is the lecture.
Excuse me, can I write another company in my reflective report?
Yeah, you want to change company?
Yes, I want to change it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you can make whatever changes you want to make for the actual submission, because I'm not taking any kind of record of this. Yeah. So that's fine. Just make sure. Okay, what we're looking then is at international market analysis and market entry. And I'm going to be focusing on a theory called Porter's 5 forces. I can imagine that you're already familiar with this theory because a lot of people are. It's a very famous theory. It's also a theory that you could use in your part 2. And I will point out to you some of the weaknesses in this theory and therefore why it would let you down in your analysis, particularly of new companies or companies that are doing something very new and doing it in a big way. So I'm really just trying to fill the time whilst PowerPoint, as usual, takes its time loading. I don't know why it does this when we're here. It doesn't do this in the classroom. Anyway, oh, by the way, one thing you'll notice is that I click on slideshow to fill the screen with the slide, but it's not working. Oh, there we are. Right. So it's worth doing that when you're giving a presentation. Yeah. Okay. So there is a video here. Oh, the video is not going to work for you, is it? Well, don't worry about the video, and I'm not going to show it now because it's not that important, and we're running a bit short of time. But what I'm doing is just explaining, or the video is explaining something about the principles of marketing and what marketing is for. Marketing is about bringing the product or the service to the customer, so informing them of its existence and getting the message across. Now, with new markets, and new markets are what we're often interested in international business. So we're already established in the home market, but we're looking for a new market, which has to be overseas, of course, or it has to be a foreign market. How do we choose that market? There are various theories that look at this. For example, the Uppsala stage theory of internationalization talks about how you go for a close market first, or a market that's psychologically close. So for us in the UK, a psychologically close market would be Ireland, which is also geographically close, but then America is psychologically close, Australia, New Zealand, psychologically close, whereas France, which is our closest neighbour, not psychologically close. So the Uppsala stage theory would suggest, exporting to Ireland and Australia first and going through stages like that. What Michael Porter is saying is, forget about all that kind of thing. Forget about the geography of moving into new markets. What you need to focus on is the profitability. So it's about analysing a market and deciding whether financially it's worth you going into that market. And that can change. The profitability of a market can change according to what the competition is doing, what the suppliers, how much power the suppliers have, how much power the buyers have, other competitors coming into it. Yeah. Now, this is the 5 forces model that you can see in front of you. From left to right, that dimension, bargaining power of suppliers, rivalry amongst existing competitors, and the bargaining power of buyers. This is where the model is strongest. It's a simple model, it's a very intuitive model, it's easy to use, but I'll point out to you some of the problems with it. Now, on the next slide, I go through the forces one after another. I strongly suspect you already know something about the model, but I'll go through it quickly anyway. And this is the power of the model, is that it's so intuitive. It's so easy to understand and agree with. So we've got a rivalry amongst existing competitors. This is like a pond a shrinking pond full of alligators. As the pond shrinks, or as more alligators get into that pond, they increasingly eat each other. So it's to the extent to which the rivals in the market are eating each other. Obviously, if they are eating each other, then profits are going to be very difficult to come by, because that's what they're eating. They're eating each other's profits, right? So if it's a nice big pond and there are very few alligators in there, in other words, it's a big market, very few other companies relative to the size of the market are in there. Could be a good chance of making a big profit, because you've got the power to take a good position in that market and charge the prices that you want to charge. Bargaining power of buyers. If your buyers can easily switch from you to someone else, then you lack power. Equally, the bargaining power of suppliers, same thing. You're now a buyer. If you can switch to another supplier, then you've got the power, and you can press down on the prices that they're charging you. If we're talking about a supermarket, right? Now, I don't know about the supermarket market in China, but in the UK, rivalry amongst existing competitors, very, very fierce. Yeah, this might be different in China, particularly in the rural areas, but in the UK, it makes no difference. We're a very small country. You know, nowhere in the UK is too far from a town where there will be at least 1, 2, 3 supermarkets all competing with each other. So there's fierce rivalry amongst existing competitors. It is a saturated market. There are no towns in the UK that don't have a supermarket. They've all got supermarkets. And if they don't have a supermarket, it's because the town is too small. Yeah. So fierce competition amongst the competitors, difficult to make a profit in comparison to your rivals. So there's a lot of pressure there, forcing supermarkets to compete on price with each other. Bargaining power of buyers, you can easily switch from one supermarket to another. So what tends to make people loyal to a supermarket is sheer habit. They're just used to going to Tesco. They always go to Walmart. And if Walmart does something that annoys the customer, then they will leave and they will shop at Safeway, Sainsbury's, somewhere else, and then they get used to shopping there. So it's more, what keeps them shopping at the same place is inertia, really. Is they're in the habit of going to that store. But once they move, they can do it without cost, very easily, and that's it. So the buyers have a lot of power. So you've got the supermarkets themselves, highly competitive with each other. So that's forcing down prices. And you've got the customers also forcing down prices. Yeah. So the supermarkets in the UK should be super price competitive. And then they have power over the suppliers. So if you take the price of milk, which is one of our staples, you've got little farmers, little dairy farms, and a big company like Tesco can say, well, either you lower your prices or we just go to another dairy farmer. Yeah. So the whole pressure on prices, on prices, and therefore squeezing profits starts at the customers on the right, and it all goes down to the suppliers on the left. As a consequence, suppliers to supermarkets can find it very difficult to make a profit, because all the pressure is coming from the customers and the supermarkets combined. Right, let's have a look at new entrants. So there'll be a high threat of new competitors coming into the market if the market is not saturated. So there's lots of room for growth in the market. Spaces are opening up. If it's a market that's very easy to get into and easy to get out of again, so they'll give it a try. Yeah. In the supermarket market, Actually, the threat of new entrants should be low. It is a saturated market. The competitors, the companies that are there, have high economies of scale. So that means that any new entrants also have to have high economies of scale. That means they have to build big supermarkets, big warehouses. This is a serious obstacle to entry. So it's not an easy market to get into. Now then, the threat of substitutes. The substitutes are satisfying the same kind of need, but in a different way. Yeah. So it can't be another supermarket. 20 years ago, there was no real threat of substitutes. There was no new kind of shopping. Now there is, of course, it's online retail. So the threat of substitute is now quite high. What all this says is that it's really not that easy to make a profit in the supermarket industry in the UK. As I say, it might be different in China, and it might be, particularly rural China, might be a little bit different, but in the UK, quite different. So we're not getting many new companies coming into it, but what we are doing is getting substitutes coming in. So we've got a couple of big companies that offer online sales. Ocado is one of the big ones. And then the existing supermarkets like Tesco, they have their own website. Yeah. Something that was pointed out the other day is that any company that has both stores, physical stores, and a website has effectively double the workforce, double the sales force. So they actually have rather high costs. Online only companies have low costs because they only have a website. But equally, actually, companies that only have physical stores, and in this country, perhaps the most famous one is Primark, but you may also have heard of Aldi and Lidl. They don't really have websites, or they don't do online retail. And that means they can focus and save cost. Right, so that's the supermarket market. So I've gone through the five forces model and explained it, but there are a lot of criticisms of this, and this is what you can use in part 2. So this comes from a particular research paper, and they say there were 3 incorrect assumptions about the model. One is that these forces, these different players in the market, the buyers and the suppliers and the new entrants, they're separate from each other. That's what the model says. But in reality, they often work together. So yes, there's all this pressure on dairy farmers, but if the dairy farmers go out of business, there's no milk. So Tesco also work with the dairy farmers. So erecting barriers to entry creates a profitable advantage. So this is the idea in the supermarket industry that because economies of scale, because you need to be massive to get into this market, that takes a huge investment, and that's a barrier to entry which scares off new entrants and means that those in the market already can command high profits, and that'll go on forever. But actually, it is possible that people will try to get into that market, as we are seeing now with substitutes. And I don't think the model really recognizes this. Number 3, that uncertainty is low and that everything can be predicted. Well, this is not true at all, is it? It can't, everything can't be predicted. And just to go back to the model, this is just a snapshot. It's like a photograph of the industry right now, and no industry is like that. And this model doesn't recognize how things change. At the moment, the bargaining power of buyers might be very high, but that might not be true in the future, and things can change. Another crucial point, and this is where it sort of connects with Alibaba and companies like that, and the new substitutes coming in, is that if a new substitute is very powerful, they actually totally change the market. So if we're talking about, say, Uber taxis, when they go into a city, it's no point in them doing this five forces analysis of the market, the taxi market in that city, because when they arrive, they will change the way taxis run in that city. Yeah, and they will sweep away the competition, and they will come in with a whole new way of running taxi services. Okay. There's also this problem about these forces, is that sometimes these forces are not shaping, they're not squeezing profits, they're more factors, and they're just things you have to take into account. So, for example, a high industry growth rate means that the market is probably expanding at a high rate. So you could do your analysis, five forces analysis today, and get one answer, and then get another answer tomorrow. It might be that technology is changing, so that can change the way the attractiveness, the profitability in the market. Government, Porter sees this as a factor, something you need to take into account, but the government is not itself shaping or squeezing profitability. I'm not sure this is quite correct. And I think certainly in the UK, we're seeing this right now with energy companies, oil companies being taxed, getting an extra tax on them. Porter would say, yes, but that's a tax on all oil companies. Not sure that's quite true. In China, you've got the construction industry the government is putting a lot of pressure on the construction industry. So Porter would see that as a factor, but it's not actually a force. It's not changing the profitability. I'm not sure that's true. Okay, complementary products. So you've got other products that go along with the technology. He would see this as a factor, but for example, fuel, oil prices are definitely a factor in the car industry. If the price of fuel goes very high, then people don't buy cars. Yeah? So that would seriously impact on the profitability in the market. Porter is saying, no, it's a factor, not a force. It's just something you have to take into account, but it doesn't change the profitability in the market. Not true. Oh, because of this, Andrew Grove came up with the six forces model, where he says that there are complementary products or services, like the price of oil, for example, that can change the profitability. So he adds this in as an extra force. Michael Porter, though, continues to believe that it's not a force, it's a factor, and that his model should only be five forces. Be very careful here, because Michael Porter, as a speaker, earns thousands of dollars being a keynote speaker. So he will defend his five forces model because that's how he makes his money. Right, okay, so for your reflection report is a really good model to use because it's clear, you can easily apply it, and because it's got a lot of very clear faults. For example, it's not dynamic. It doesn't account for the way a market changes over time. The substitutes are there as a force, but the model is no help in identifying what those substitutes would be. So, you know, if we're talking about the smartphone market, should you enter the smartphone market in Vietnam? What possible substitutes would there be for smartphones? I have no idea. Yeah. So the model says that you need to think about these things, but it's no help in telling you what you should be thinking. Okay, so having decided that you are going to go into a market, you then need to think about how you position yourself in the market. You're not just going to sell your stuff. You know, you've got to think, well, you know, what's the price range are we going to be sitting in? What kind of customer are we trying to appeal to? So that clarity gives you strategic clarity. You know what you're doing, and you know what the competition is going to be doing. So you know how to compete, really. The problems with market positioning is that you may not understand the market well enough, and yet that position may not actually be a clear market position at all. And you may identify gaps in a market which are not real gaps. I mean, an example of this would be that if you want to go from London to Paris, there are various ways of doing it. You can take the train, you can take a coach, you can fly, yeah? So the cheapest way would be by coach, low price, low value. It's not an enjoyable experience. It takes a long time, but it is cheap, yeah? So price and value are in alignment. The train, more expensive. It's a nicer experience, but it's not quite as fast as the plane. And so it's high value, but it's a higher cost. And then the aircraft, highest cost of all, but also the highest value. It gets you there the quickest way. Right, so where's the gap in the market? The gap in the market would be low value, high price. So something like, say, taking a taxi to Paris, very expensive, by far the most expensive way of doing it, not a very good way of going to Paris. So you would identify that as a gap and say, right, we're going to start a taxi firm going from London to Paris, and no one would use your services. Yeah, yes, it's a gap in the market, but it's a gap that doesn't exist. You also need to think about it segmenting the market. You segment the market according to the characteristics of the consumers. Yeah. So there are various ways that you can segment a market. All of them are arbitrary. So it's your instinct that tells you, and your experience and your analysis that tells you how to segment the market. And you can do it by various different dimensions. And you may decide that actually there's a segment that already exists, and you're going to compete in a tiny part of that segment. So you're going to have a niche within the segment, and that niche is one that only you are in. So that's the difference between a niche and a segment. A segment is a part of the market and that you've identified, and you'll be in there with other competitors. A niche is inside that segment, and only you are in that niche. Maybe one other competitor, but it's going to be very limited competition. So common ways of segmenting the market: demographics, you do it according to age, gender, income, so it's who the customer is. Psychographics, which is about personality, people's interests, their hobbies, so it's why they would buy from you. And then lifestyle is about what these people stand for. So it's their identity. So what kind of things they do, what they believe in. Are they outdoor mountaineering, skiing types, or are they the kind of people who sit on the sofa at home and watch TV all the time? It's up to you how you decide to segment the market. But always remember that however you might decide to analyze the market, it's the consumer that has the power, because they can just go somewhere else. And what you need to always remember is that you're selling the benefit of the product or the service, not the feature. Okay, so it's the task here. I'm not going to do the task here, but if we look at these products from left to right, we've got these stair lifts, Stannah stair lifts, very famous here. We've got Harley Davidson motorbikes, and then Sunseeker luxury yachts that are made in the south of England somewhere, Bournemouth, I think it is. Okay, let's just look at Stannah stair lifts designed for old people. So if you were segmenting the market, you'd do it in a demographic way. Where do you advertise? Well, you're going to be looking for magazines for old people, and you will advertise there, and it will only be old people that will see the ad. What are you missing out on then? Well, actually, a stair lift is just a lift. it's a way of getting something heavy, usually a person, but something heavy that can't get up there by itself. So you're missing out on people who have, say, big, fat, heavy dogs, as here. So you could have been advertising in a pet owner's magazine. It could be about getting heavy luggage upstairs. So for people who live in flats, it could be for companies, small companies that have things they need to shift around, but they're not going to be investing in a forklift truck. Yeah, so they just need a device to help them move products from one floor to the next. You need to find where to advertise to these people. So when you choose a segment and you decide to compete in that segment, you are also giving up access to other segments, and that could be a problem. So Harley-Davidson motorbikes, famously appeal to men who are middle-aged, have a bit of money, have got rather romantic ideas about the open road. They're missing out on women. Yeah. And young women may also have money. They also may have a desire for freedom and excitement. So the segmentation process then, you start by segmenting the market. So you divide it up according to the characteristics that you've chosen, whether it's age, lifestyle, whatever it might be. And then you target that segment. You choose which segment you're going to compete in. Notice the note on the right. Maybe this is where you then use Porter's 5 forces. Porter's 5 forces is for the market as a whole, but maybe you can also use it on a segment. You've identified the segment. Is it a profitable one, though? Yeah. So that's possibly where the 5 forces model comes in again at a lower level. And then product positioning. So how are you going to position yourself in that segment? Now, globally, if you go round segmenting each individual market, it'll be incredibly time-consuming and inefficient. So what tends to happen is that companies will find a segment for the entire world. Yeah. Now, we talked before about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola appeals to, younger, outgoing, healthy people. Yeah. So that would be the same all over the world, with small differences, but it's much less risky for Coca-Cola to go into the Chinese market and try and appeal to a similar kind of person. So it means have the same kind of marketing, the same kind of advertising, the brand has the same brand image. Yeah, and it means that everyone at headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, America, is able to deal with the Chinese market without having to have special skills. Yeah, so it's much simpler to segment global markets rather than do it locally. And this does imply that there are international people. So if you've decided that, for example, Starbucks in America appeals to the middle classes, that a similar middle class exists in all the markets you're going into. Yeah. So Starbucks going to China is assuming there's a similar middle class in China and that they have a similar lifestyle, similar values to consumers in the US. So that kind of Italian coffee, that relaxed atmosphere in a Starbucks, that it's the same thing in China. Okay. If you keep the brand image constant like that, then that means that you will have to accept differences in sales volumes. So if Starbucks was to go into Ethiopia, a very poor country, still going for the middle classes, but there are much fewer middle class people in Ethiopia, so sales are going to be lower. It's still the same segment as they're going for in Europe, still the same segment as they're going for in America and Canada, but it just happens to be a really small segment in that market. and they have to accept that. So in going into the market then, you need to be able to learn about foreign markets, learn about the people in those locations and how to manage them, and then how to develop them further. But do this within the global strategy for your company. And this may mean that when you're advancing out of your established domestic market, that either the overseas markets have to be marketed in the same way as the domestic market, or you come up with a new global strategy which is new for the domestic market, and obviously it's new for the overseas markets. And there are two ways of going into these markets. One is that it's directed, so you've got a strategy to move into markets and you're pushing the sales. So you're not being invited in, you've identified a market, you think it can be profitable, and you go in there aggressively. Or it's organic market entry, and somehow you're just being pulled into the market. Now, this doesn't happen quite so much with overseas new markets, because generally speaking, you have to push yourself into them. But it could be that your brand name is already well known in the market, particularly if you're a brand name like Coca-Cola or Apple or something like that, or Walmart. You know, Walmart is quite famous. So they could sort of set themselves up in the market in a small way and just see what happens. So Walmart could set up a couple of small supermarkets in London and see if people are interested. And if they are interested, they open some more supermarkets and keep expanding in that way. So the directed way means that the growth rate has to exceed the change in the sales. So sales are growing, but you're going to force that growth rate. Yeah. So that maybe there is increasing demand, but you're going to force it at a pace that suits you. This is highly risky, and that means you need a high rate of return. If not today, then certainly tomorrow. And that inherent risk takes constant management, and you need to be very careful about how you enter the market. So there's a lot of management, a lot of control and coordination going on. And you'd be getting the money for this, presumably from external sources. It's unlikely you might have a lot of money in your company bank account doing nothing, and that's funding it. But really, that money belongs to the shareholders, so it still counts as a kind of external funding. You have to have permission from your shareholders to do this, or from the bank. And this may have a significant impact on the structure of the company. If you're bringing in new shareholders, can change the way the company is controlled. This is very much about change. It's very dynamic, so it can be a dangerous situation, highly risky. And you would choose to enter with a product, so dominant product, or you're choosing the most important market first, or you're choosing the entry mode. It is what you can control. That's how you go into the market. And so the product, you don't have to go in with all your products all at once. You can go with select products, and you need to think about how much you need to adapt the product. So there's a lot of investment going on here. The market itself, having chosen the market, how fast you go in, so what the potential for the market is, what the potential is for you to get it wrong and have to learn from the market and then reassess and start again. And you can choose the entry mode. So are you going to export from your home base? Do you license a local person? Do you go into an alliance with a local company? Do you go for foreign direct investment where you control that operation? And the opposite of this is an organic entry where you're pulled in. So the growth rate of the company is the same as the sales rate. You're not going to build, if you're Walmart, you don't build a huge new supermarket and then wait for demand to catch up with your big new investment. You build a small one that matches the local demand. And then when that does well, you build a bigger one. And when that does well, you build another bigger one. Yeah, this is all low risk, low rate of return, because it's low risk. But there's a lack of planning here, and that's where the risk is. Poor economies of scale. If Walmart start with a small local corner shop, see how it goes, and then try it, and then close it and build a bigger one, and that goes well. Close that, build an even bigger one. You know, that's a very expensive way of going about it in the long run. So in the long run, this is the expensive way of doing it. In the long run, this is the riskier way. Coordination and control is internally funded in the sense that it's sales and the revenue from sales that funds all of this. Yeah, it doesn't change the corporate structure. You're not necessarily bringing in new shareholders, and there tends to be a preference for exports or greenfield FDI. So you've set up. You're doing it from your home operation, and you've discovered, much to your surprise, that sales are rising in Vietnam, and you just increase your exports. And it's really demand in Vietnam that's pulling the sales in. It particularly suits actually knowledge-based companies. So if you're selling, well, say like music, Spotify, they put things onto their platform. And then the demand comes along. The market demand will then draw in the sales. Yeah. Okay. Finally, about raising employability. So this is for you to think about, and how all this international business is an opportunity for you. But particularly whether you should be considering working for a multinational, because multinationals clearly have the advantage here. Coming out of established markets like the United States, like Europe, they're now on the hunt for overseas markets, and they're going in from a position of secure domestic strength. And they're going into markets in developing countries where the local competitors haven't even got local strength yet. So it gives a significant advantage to these overseas multinational corporations, often based in Europe and the United States. Developing countries can respond to that by sending their students overseas to learn from these multinationals and hopefully bring those skills back home. But what often happens is those students stay overseas, remain working for these multinationals, and that means that the developing countries lose out on their talents. Okay, I've got some sources there. So that's it, really. Let's go back to you. Right, that's it. So unless you've got any questions, I'll finish that there. We've got a gigantic recording for me to upload, so that'll probably take me a couple of days this time. But if you've got any questions in the meantime, as always, you're more than welcome to email me. And I'm glad to see people have been emailing me. People have been sending me their drafts. I have a quick look through, make sure everything's there, give you a few hints on improvements. But I can't be the one doing all the work. You know, this is your assignment, not mine. And I'm not implying any kind of grade. Yeah, but I'm more than happy to read drafts.